the skies, your spirit is one with me. Your wings span the mighty ocean. Your eyes see everything. The slightest of your motions can make the continents ring. Yet in all your might and glory, you vanished from the skies, leaving just another story amidst millions of man-made lies. They tell of how you fell from the sky. You once proud.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. And my guest today is David Kaas. He's the author of Farm Physics. He'd like to run for president. Welcome, David.
Good morning, Clayton. Good morning. How's the weather there in Arizona today?
Well, it's actually very, very beautiful here. It's just about perfect weather.
Wow.
65 degrees right now, and that's low. It'll get up to about 98.
Wow, that's quite a differential. I heard this morning on one of my emails that last night in Missouri, a few people were outside and they said it was after dark and they could see the clouds illuminated drifting over their heads. That means they're electrically charged, and I think this is from the scalar technology, just juicing up the clouds there, looking for them to combine into a tornado or whatever. But this is well after dark. It's reported this morning on my email that there were clouds luminous in the sky, floating in the sky in the dark.
Well, I really believe we are being moved. I mean, the government is preparing. They've got the exercises. They've talked about this 8 years ago or more at the first Homeland Security meetings on my film, about an earthquake of significant magnitude would require 400,000 some odd troops to control the American people because some of them just wouldn't follow orders. On the New Madrid fault line, they mentioned that specifically.
Well, they're trying everything under the sun. I even heard this morning on the news that here in L.A., they're reporting that a shipment of bad gasoline has been sold, and their cars are stopping after they leave the fill-up at the stations now, because there's water tainted in the gasoline. So they're doing everything they can to slow us down. They're even raising the price of Starbucks and Folgers coffee to $15 a pound. So it's all going up. It's all going up in smoke.
They're preparing for it now. If you're not aware, the Oath Keepers are coming here to Tucson May 30th, Monday, Memorial Day, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to work with the. One of the board of directors will be on my show tomorrow to talk about it. And Oath Keepers is a force to be reckoned with, because, like I've always said, anytime a communist regime takes over, they go after three classes of people, the third being the veterans and the law enforcement that are still loyal to the old regime, the Constitution in this case.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like it's coming down to the wire. We've got about a year and a half till the next election, and I'm actually thrilled and amazed and get all excited myself for this next election. Like I say, the bugs are starting to come out of the woodwork, and we're starting to see some solvency to our whole plan here. But today I'm coming on with some more of this Fishman's Framework for Tax Reform. I hope you've had a chance to read through the copy I sent to you a week ago. It talks about all the positive aspects of what we can do here as a nation, financially, for our Social Security, problems, the funding of that, and also for our educational system, which has been deteriorating in the last 20 years and is just about ready to run aground, so to speak. All these things are included in this Fishman's Framework for Tax Reform, and I wanted to go over that with you today. But I also have here in front of me a copy of...
Just a minute. Let me tell our listeners basically what the Fishman's plan encompasses: lower personal, business, and capital gains taxes, eliminating the tax on interest, eliminating personal income taxes, eliminating the estate tax for over 98% of Americans, funding all government programs while running a budget surplus, resolving Social Security long-term funding forever, creating and fully funding national health care, expanding public education to include college and vocational school free of charge, creating millions of high-paying jobs, repairing our deteriorating infrastructure, ending our dependence on fossil fuels, helping each state with their fiscal responsibilities. Okay?
How do you think that sounds to you?
Well, I think it sounds wonderful. It sounds wonderful. I know that we've got the brains and the minds out there that can envision everything that's happening. And if those minds were allowed to work for the common good, right. Well, actually, if they were doing what communism, was supposedly doing, if it hadn't been financed by the banksters to turn it into exactly the opposite of what they tried to sell to people on.
Exactly. Well, our tax form now is over 1,300 pages, and every year they add more and more to it. So it takes a qualified attorney to figure out your taxes for any business nowadays. There's no other way to do it. But this format here would make it very, very, very simple for the common man, woman. Their taxes would be taken out with each paycheck, and so the only check that they would get in the mail is the last year's sum of tax return for the previous year's taxes paid. But this would actually iron out a lot of our financial problems, and a big part of this, besides our paying taxes, is our homeowners industry. That's the industry which finances all the houses and homes and property across the nation. And that's the other part of the problem we're experiencing at the moment. It almost seems like too much to the normal person, because they can't understand their taxes, and they don't understand what to do about the mortgages, the mortgage situation. And actually, they've hit us with both of these at the same time, both of these problems. So it's actually compounds each one.
This is a war on the American people. It's a way on our way of life. They have to destroy the middle class. They want poverty. They want peons, and they want their little 2% elite.
That's exactly right. Well, part of the situation is with all of our houses in the country. I don't own my own home anymore. I did at one time, but the people that are all in ownership of property are all somewhat aghast at the prices have fallen so drastically, and they can't even sell their house to pay off the amount they owe on it. So everyone's stuck between a rock and a hard spot at the moment on these mortgages.
A million families homeless in the last year.
That's right. These aren't a million high-dollar earners that are single, unwed. These are family people with children that are in school in nearby facilities, and they're going to have to move. They're going to have to pull up their roots. They're going to have to quit their jobs if they're still there. The situation is not going from bad to worse. It's all or nothing.
Okay, now let's add that you've identified the problem. You can't afford the house that you got, the value on it, so the value on it are dropping because you can't get a job because your job been sent to India, China, and our manufacturing and our production is gone. Hemp is one of the big things, and I'm going to hammer on that a little bit because the Oath Keepers are coming to Tucson Monday morning. They'll be here in Tucson. we'll finalize the location that they're having the event in by the weekend. So you'll know on Monday morning where it's going to be in Tucson. They are coming here because of the SWAT team in Tucson. The police sheriff's department SWAT team raided an Iraqi vet and shot him 60 times in his hallway because he was holding a rifle, a legal rifle. Now, that is outrageous, and that's why the Oath Keepers are coming here. But I'm telling you, folks, that the real tragedy here could have been him, it could have been his next door neighbor, because they raided 3 houses in one neighborhood looking for drugs. And somebody had some pot. Maybe it would have been justified to kill people over a victimless crime, over something that's not a crime. There's nothing in our Constitution. We're to be secure in our homes, our Fourth Amendment, and now Indiana has a Supreme Court in Indiana has said you don't have the right to defend yourself in your home. If the guy's wearing a badge, if he's wearing a badge, then you don't have the right to defend yourself. Excuse me. This is why they're coming, but it's the drug laws that have turned 60 million Americans into non-voting criminals. They don't want you to vote.
And well, they know that it's going to come down to the point in time where we're all going to realize just who they are, and we're going to have one last vote, one last chance, one last scrub to clean them up, clean them out. But that's what they're trying to do. It's a slow process for them, but it's something that's just been negotiated over the years, completely behind our backs. Nobody's actually known what was going on or who was doing it or what the intent was. But I can see it all real clear now, and so can you. But it is the dissolution of this entire country and this entire way of thinking and our Constitution and everything, our Bill of Rights that we've been living under and for all of our lives. That's what it's all designed to do. Now,
David, you want to run for president, and I would be happy to support you in that, because I think a common man, the average man, guy I walk down the beach with and have coffee with, can run it as good as anything that's up there, because you are working and you're concerned for the people.
Oh, yes, that's my only concern. Well, hey, at my age of 55, I've done everything I really thought I ever wanted to do, and I'm glad I didn't do some of those other things. And I'm just kind of now standing back and taking a look at everything that concerns us all every day. The money we make, the jobs we work at, the food we eat, and all these things have been corrupted by this elite. So it's time now that we take it back if we can, and if we can't, well, then we just can't. We can't get the votes. But we're going to make a run for it this time, Clayton, and I'm going to do everything in my power possible to get this word out there to all the citizens of the United States. Part of my plan is to release all drug-convicted people that are in jails and prisons and restore their rights to them once again, and get them back in the workforce, get them back in the voting public, get them back involved in their own personal lives, because that's what we're all here to do, is live and breathe and discover the facts and figures while we're in the body. But these tactics which have been put upon us by our own government, by the elite, by whomever, are all leading us in the wrong direction, so to speak.
To me, the right. I've made this comment, and I want to get your input. Is if you succeeded in reaching the American people, and I think we can reach the American people with the internet now. There were several 100,000 people watching that protest for the Fourth Amendment. It's a Fourth Amendment protest in Indiana since this judge ruled this. So the people are waking up. They are getting active, if we can give them the direction to go in.
Correct. That's exactly it. There's been a lot of talking going on, and a lot of complaining, and a lot of downright evil that's been happening. But I'm fully aware of all these things, and I say my prayers every night for these people who have suffered and are still suffering. But what we need to do now is to figure out exactly the plan of action to take back this country, to take back our government, and to re-establish the right way to do things, the God-given way to do things, instead of
everything we've done in history here. I mean, we've outlined what happened to Tesla. Tesla had free energy. You could just walk in the house and turn the light on. They stopped that and substituted it for the wires that run to your house, that connect you, this umbilical cord.
Right.
You know, and I've been following the steps, becoming more and more totalitarian every day. Now they're starting to kill people. That's what the story that I did on Jerry and Joe Kane showed that they killed these people and without a trial, just like Bin Laden, killed without a trial, and the bodies were so shot up you couldn't compare them to the videos that they put out. So this is government working from the top down to frame people, to eliminate people, and Ron Paul just talked about that. I mean, he says it's the final nail in the coffin. They're giving the president, the Congress was to give president more power to declare war on anybody anywhere in the world. And that's what I've said the war on terror is, a war against anyone, anywhere in the world. Doesn't want to go along with one world government of the bankers, by the banksters, and for the banksters. Well,
yeah, that's pushing the ticket a little too far, allowing the president to declare war on whoever they want. We used to we had to push it through the Congress and Senate first, and decide upon these attacks on different nations. But nowadays, I hear about where we're going and what we're doing on CNN. 6 months after it's already been decided upon, and this kind of dealing of the cards is just not to my liking anymore.
Okay, let me share this with you, with the audience here, because you need to understand, folks, we're actually getting to a desperation time. You know, I've said that what's happening in the United States today is what happened in the Soviet Union. You know, when the Soviet Union came into place, killed the Tsar, murdered the Tsar, and took over. It's happening right now. Now, this is Ron Paul, a presidential candidate. Again, he's running for president again, so you have to take this man serious. He is in Congress, and he's speaking to Congress.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The last nail is being driven into the coffin of the American Republic, yet Congress remains in total denial as our liberties are rapidly fading before our eyes. The process is propelled by unwarranted fear and ignorance as to the true meaning of liberty. It is driven by economic myths, fallacies, and irrational good intentions. The rule of law is constantly rejected, and authoritarian answers are offered as panaceas for all our problems. Runaway welfareism is used to benefit the rich at the expense of the middle class. Who would have ever thought that the current generation and Congress would stand idly by and watch such a rapid disintegration of the American Republic? Characteristic of this epic event is the casual acceptance by the people and the political leaders of the unitary presidency, which is equivalent to granting dictatorial powers to the president. Our presidents can now, on their own, order assassinations, including American citizens, operate secret military tribunals, engage in torture, enforce indefinite imprisonments without due process, order searches and seizures without proper warrants, gutting the Fourth Amendment, ignore the 60-day rule for reporting to the Congress the nature of any military operation as required by the War Powers Resolution, continue the Patriot Act abuses without oversight, wage war at will, treat all Americans as suspected terrorists at airports with TSA groping and nude X-ray. And the Federal Reserve accommodates by counterfeiting the funds needed and not paid for by taxation and borrowing, permitting runaway spending, endless debt, and special interest bailouts. And all of this is not enough. The abuses and usurpations of the war power are soon to be codified in the National Defense Authorization Act, now rapidly moving its way through Congress. Instead of repealing the 2001 authorization for the use of military force, as we should, now that bin Laden is dead and gone, Congress is planning to massively increase the war power of the president. Though an opportunity presents itself to end the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, Congress, with bipartisan support, obsesses on how to expand the unconstitutional war power of the president he already holds. The current proposal would allow a president to pursue war anytime, any place, for any reason, without congressional approval. Many believe this would even permit military activity against American suspects here at home. The proposed authority does not reference the 9/11 attacks. It would be expanded to include the Taliban and associated forces, a dangerously vague and expansive definition of our potential enemies. There is no denial that
they are talking about us, patriots, sovereign citizens, tax protesters, any anti-Fed guys, you know, anti-government. Yeah, damn right I'm anti-communist government. You're damn right I am. David, you got to comment on that. There's more, but that's up on my website, on the Blog TV site for Free American. But I mean, this is a speech that's going on in Congress right now. Where's the rest of the congressmen? Why aren't they backing him up? Why aren't they standing up? How come the rest of the congressmen, besides Ron Paul and maybe Dennis Kunitz and a couple more, are simply sitting there on their hands going, what's he talking about?
Well, the problems have been exasperated to the point where everybody knows just what's going on, and Ron Paul's one of the few people that are standing up, maybe the only one standing up and saying this. But you got to figure there's got to be other people in the crowd there that are in agreement with him. They're just little chickens still. You know, all these people in our government that tout this badge of courage and whatnot. That's a bunch of baloney. You know, they all follow the leader, whoever's leading the pack. And right now, Ron Paul stand up and he's trying to voice his opinion, but you know, he's not getting a lot of listeners. But I think, like I say, in the next 6 months, as we see the conditions deteriorate here in the country at the food level and at the water level and at all levels, we're going to start listening to this type of speech that Ron Paul's been saying, but there'll be others that'll stand up too. I'm waiting to see a few women stand up, because women are usually the strong ones when the chips are down. it's the men will go fight the war for you, but they're not going to be the real smart ones all the time. But I'm waiting to hear from a few women out there. But
now let me ask you about. I've said that the Obama's idea of greening America is to sell the top of that mountain over there to a foreign corporation, so they can come in and put up windmills, and they will then pipe out all of that electricity those windmills create down to the power company, where the power company will sell it back to you.
Well, the greening of America means we've got to legalize hemp, first of all, and then take all the fluoride out of our drinking water and throw the toothpaste away that has fluoride in it as well. But the greening of America is actually the start, the springtime, the rebirth of a nation, of a country, of everything. And we have these terrible storms and tornado action this year, which is stalling out our spring harvest, and it'll probably be the same for our fall harvest too. So this Christmas, the price of bread is going to be probably pretty much equal to a gallon of gasoline, about $10 a loaf or $10 a gallon. But the re-greening actually means we have to restart, we have to refresh, we have to replant everything that this country's been raised on once again, and start a new crop.
If we go back to hemp, if hemp was legalized tomorrow,
yep,
we would free everybody from prison, because you really, there's never been a reason for a law against hemp in the first place.
Exactly.
And the Encyclopedia Britannica and the New York Times could go back to being printed on hemp paper instead of cutting down forests and destroying natural resources.
Yep.
Our food would be better. We would have less need for medical care. I mean, this whole thing's a racket right now. They're putting the poisons in your food. They're putting your poisons in your ground. They're putting the poison on your crops. You're feeding that poison to your animals, and you're eating it again.
Well, and then they're sending you to the doctors, which are paid to give you the drugs that they make. So it's like a no-win situation. You can't get out of the circle loop. So it's a real circle jerk. So like I say, this next election, I don't know who all is running for office in this next election. There were about 75 independents on the YouTube last time I looked. So we do have that as a bit of a problem as far as our election goes. There's just so many people running. But the one thing we do have in our favor is the fact that with my candidacy, we have some very definite, basic problems that are to be solved, and these are the solutions with this fisherman's tax reform and with this subprime mortgage.
Tell me about the subprime mortgage thing. We've got actually wait a minute. Let me do this on the other half here. Let me do this on the other half. This fisherman's tax, you know, right now everything in Congress benefits the banks. The president benefits the banks. How does Fishman plan on taking that away?
Well, what it lays out is a different format for consideration, and the first consideration of all is our Social Security funding. We need to bring that back to solvency, and under this new framework, that's exactly what it does. But besides just our Social Security, our long-term funding problem, it takes care of our public education, and like you mentioned earlier, offers a free of charge college education to anyone that qualifies. But besides that, it takes care of a big problem, which is our national health care. And our national health care is being funded by the elite, and it's being steered the wrong direction. They're not telling you where cancer's coming from. They're not telling you where the heart attack is coming from. All they're giving you is a bottle of pills, and they're telling you it's going to fix it for you for a while. That's the most baloney I've ever heard of. We need explanation of these facts and figures. We need it in a real-time sense to the simple-minded individual, and we're going to do it over the internet. We're going to do it right in your home. We're going to explain to everyone what's
spending water is one way to do that. Putting solar on your home and doing your best to cut the umbilical cords, or make them support you, pay you by all the energy you generate from your home. We're taking back the power a bit.
Oh, exactly. We're putting the power back in the normal man and woman's hands, instead of what we've been seeing happen the last few years, is it's all being taken away. And under this new subprime mortgage solution, what it is saying to do is what we will do. Okay. We will buy the homes, and we will refinance them, and we will deduct 40% of their price right now, which is the balloon that happened to us the last 10 years.
Okay, that's hold that right there, because that's what we want to talk about. I think this falls into what Brad Pitt tried to do in New Orleans. We'll talk about that, and just take a deep breath and hang on a second.